deafening explosion tore through the stillness of the night, not in the Middle East, not in the Taiwan Strait, but right at the border between Thailand and Cambodia. At 3:47 a.m., a squadron of F-16s from the Royal Thai Air Force took off from Udon Thani Air Base, flying at low altitude, with all identification systems disabled, and pierced straight into Cambodian airspace in eerie silence. In just 12 minutes, Operation Tiger Claw was officially unleashed, marking a turning point in the escalating tensions between the two neighboring nations. The first target was a strategic weapons depot in Adar Menchi province, where Cambodia had recently deployed the Chinese-supplied HQ-16 surface-to-air missile system, touted as an impenetrable shield. The second target was a military training center in Battambang, believed to be housing elite special forces preparing for cross-border assaults. The third was a camouflaged radar station near the Preah Vihear Temple, a decades-long flashpoint of dispute between the two countries, where bloody clashes have erupted in the past. And finally, a clandestine warehouse storing advanced suicide drones in Kampong Thom province, operated by Chinese military advisors, with technology claimed to be the most cutting edge in the region. Can Thailand turn the tide with this audacious counterstrike, or is this merely the opening salvo of a larger conflict? Welcome to B-21 Raider, where conflicts are not just recounted but dissected through the sharp lens of strategic analysts. Here, the battlefield is not merely a place of combat, but a mirror reflecting military might, geopolitical ambitions, and hidden calculations. Join us as we peel back the layers of truth in this war, from the smallest details on the ground to the global picture emerging before our eyes. A barrage of GBU-31 JDAM smart bombs, guided by advanced laser systems from US RQ-4 Global Hawk drones flying 200 nautical miles away, struck each target with pinpoint accuracy down to the centimeter. In just 9 minutes, Cambodia's critical military infrastructure along the border crumbled completely. No return fire, no early warning signals, no air defense system in Cambodia could detect the F-16s gliding through the darkness. The country's outdated radars, largely relics from the Soviet era, were utterly powerless against Thailand's stealth technology and electronic warfare capabilities, bolstered by advanced US systems. The question arises, what drove Thailand to strike so decisively, and why was Cambodia the target of such a precise attack? It all began with a series of brazen provocations by Cambodia. 2 days earlier, at dawn on Friday, Cambodian 155mm artillery guns opened fire on Thai border outposts in Buriram and Kanchanaburi provinces. The relentless barrages killed 14 Thai soldiers, forced over 300 civilians to evacuate, and plunged dozens of border villages into chaos. No explanation was offered. No official statement came from Phnom Penh. Instead, a senior Cambodian defense official declared on national media, "The Kingdom of Cambodia will defend every inch of its sacred land, even at the cost of blood." This statement, broadcast across state television, was not just a bold challenge, but a clear signal that Cambodia was ready to escalate tensions to a new level. But such defiant rhetoric couldn't mask the truth. Cambodia had underestimated Thailand's strength and the support of its allies. In a world already reeling from unresolved conflicts, from Ukraine to the Middle East, from the Taiwan Strait to the Korean Peninsula, Cambodia's actions seemed far from a mere border dispute. They appeared to be part of a larger, meticulously calculated move in the global geopolitical chess game. Why was Thailand able to obliterate 4 critical Cambodian military targets in under 12 minutes? The answer lies in the stark disparity in technology and strategy. First, the HQ-16 missile system, hyped by China as Cambodia's iron shield since 2023, proved utterly ineffective against laser-guided JDAM bombs. Its radar was neutralized by US EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft operating from a covert base 300 kilometers away. Cambodia's radar signals were completely jammed, unable to issue any warnings. Every defensive mechanism fell silent, leaving Cambodian air defense units in a state of confusion and helplessness. Next, the S-125 air defense system, supplied by Russia in the 1980s and designed to jam the guidance systems of smart bombs, was rendered obsolete. When faced with the US's cutting-edge satellite navigation network, equipped with high-level military encryption, the system failed to produce any interference. Within 7 seconds, counter-jamming signals from the F-16s paralyzed Cambodia's entire air defense network. A senior Cambodian commander, in a confidential interview after the event, bitterly admitted, "We thought Chinese technology could protect us, but when the real strike came, all we had left was a pile of useless, charred metal." The reality was stark. The devastation inflicted on Cambodia far exceeded initial estimates. 3 logistical bases were completely destroyed, with columns of smoke rising dozens of meters, visible from across the border. 2 weapons depots, containing hundreds of tons of Chinese-supplied munitions, erupted in flames, triggering secondary explosions that shook the region. Over 150 military vehicles, from tanks to armored personnel carriers, were wiped out in an instant. The entire forward command network, comprising 21 senior officers, lost all communication capabilities, leaving border units in total disarray. Within 24 hours, Cambodia's border defense system collapsed into chaos, unable to organize a counterattack or maintain its defensive lines. In desperation, Prime Minister Hun Manet hurriedly boarded a plane, not to New York to appeal to the United Nations, not to Jakarta to seek ASEAN's support, but straight to Beijing. Why Beijing? Because he knew no other ally was ready to embrace Cambodia anymore. The reason goes beyond the attack on Thailand. For over a decade, Cambodia has bet its entire security strategy on China. It leased the Ream port to Beijing for a strategic naval base, accepted ineffective domestically produced Chinese radar systems, rejected military cooperation with the US and Japan, and all but severed defense ties with ASEAN. When war broke out, Cambodia faced a harsh truth. The world doesn't side with anyone based on empty promises or sentiment. The world stands with the nation that wields real power, and at this moment, that nation was Thailand. Thailand, backed by the formidable might of the United States, not only boasts strategic military bases, but was a founding member of the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, SEATO, in history. More crucially, Thailand serves as a linchpin for the U.S. 7th Fleet in Southeast Asia, with its air and naval bases playing a central role in American operations in the Indo-Pacific region. Support from the U.S., including electronic warfare technology, satellite navigation systems, and advanced reconnaissance aircraft, enabled Thailand to execute the strike with unprecedented precision, turning Operation Tiger Claw into a bitter lesson for Cambodia. But the story doesn't end in Southeast Asia. Immediately after the airstrike, intelligence reports from the US and its allies began detecting a flurry of unusual signals, from Beijing to Damascus, from Pyongyang to Tehran, and even from Moscow to bases in Syria. Dozens of military transport flights took off under the cover of night, carrying undisclosed weapons and equipment. Drones, believed to be produced by China and Russia, began appearing with alarming frequency in the airspace of U.S. allied nations, from Japan to South Korea, from Poland to Israel. Meanwhile, propaganda campaigns flooded social media and international news outlets, painting Cambodia as an innocent victim oppressed by Thailand and the U.S. But what is the truth? A weapon system, no matter how glorified by slogans, or touted as state-of-the-art, cannot be called advanced if it fails to withstand a precise strike from an F-16, if its radar is neutralized in seconds. This is a hard-learned lesson. Not every weapon bought from China or Russia can stand up to U.S. technology. Not every missile or heavy artillery guarantees victory. And not every cry of sovereignty wins the world's support. What do you think? Did Cambodia choose the wrong ally, or is it merely a pawn in a much larger geopolitical chess game? In a grander game, wars rarely happen by chance, and in modern strategy, they almost never occur in isolation. The F-16 squadron took off in silence, obliterated 4 critical Cambodian military facilities, and plunged the Phnom Penh government into an unprecedented crisis. But look beyond Thailand's borders. A global picture is emerging. This is not just a conflict between 2 Southeast Asian nations, but a piece of a worldwide war puzzle quietly being activated. In the Middle East, Israel faces over 15,000 rockets from Hezbollah and Iran-backed groups in just 4 months. Suicide drones targeting Eilat's port and Haifa's oil refineries have been identified with components from North Korea, control software from China, and tactical support from Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. Intelligence reports from Mossad reveal that these weapons were smuggled through Syria, disguised as civilian cargo, but loaded with precision-guided warheads. In Eastern Europe, Ukraine endures over 2,000 attacks from Iran-made Shahed-136 drones, equipped with Russia's GLONASS navigation systems and Chinese-developed guidance algorithms. These drones target not only military infrastructure, but also major cities, causing severe civilian losses. In Northeast Asia, Taiwan faces over 300 airspace incursions from China's J-20 fighters and Type 093 submarines in 2025 alone. China's empty fortress tactics, combined with large-scale cyber attacks, have created a prolonged state of psychological crisis, putting immense pressure on Taipei's command systems. Recall 2014, when Russia used similar tactics to paralyze Ukraine for 3 months before annexing Crimea. In Central Asia, the U.S. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the nerve center of American operations in the Middle East, is threatened by Iran-made Samad-3 suicide drones, built with North Korean frames, Russian chips, and Chinese software. And now, in Southeast Asia, Thailand faces relentless artillery barrages from Cambodia, targeting border outposts and causing significant casualties. A common thread emerges. Every nation under attack is a direct or strategic ally of the United States. Is this a coincidence or the sign of a grander plan? Don't rush to judge. Let's analyze each hotspot and trace the fingerprints of the forces behind them. 1. Israel. Hezbollah, backed by Iran and North Korea, has launched over 15,000 rockets, devastating Israel's infrastructure. Mossad intelligence reveals missile components smuggled through Syria, with Chinese control software and tactical advisors from Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. These attacks target not only military sites, but also cities, creating psychological pressure on civilians. 2. Ukraine. Russia has deployed over 2,000 Shahed-136 drones since early 2024, combining Russian GLONASS systems with Chinese navigation algorithms targeting Ukrainian cities and military bases. These attacks have destroyed critical energy infrastructure, leaving millions without power or water. 3. Taiwan. China's H-6K bombers and Type 093 submarines repeatedly violate Taiwan's air defense identification zone, paired with cyber attacks aimed at paralyzing Taipei's command systems. This strategy mirrors Russia's playbook in Ukraine before the Crimea annexation. 4. Qatar. The Al Udeid base, the U.S.'s command hub in the Middle East, faces threats from Iran's Samad-3 drones, built with North Korean frames, Russian chips, and Chinese control software. While these attacks have yet to cause major damage, they heighten regional tensions. 5. Cambodia. Once a U.S. ally post-Cold War, Cambodia has become China's outpost, hosting a naval base at Ream, Chinese-supplied radar systems, and 12 PLZ-52 self-propelled howitzers, along with 8 Belarusian electronic warfare vehicles disguised as agricultural equipment. According to a report from the International Institute for Strategic Studies, IISS, Cambodia's arms imports from China in 2024 reached billions of dollars. Connect these dots, and what do you see? A global network of crises, a chain of indirect attacks, and a strategy to fragment U.S. power across multiple fronts. Who's behind it? The answer is increasingly clear. China, Russia, North Korea. 3 nations unabashedly pursuing ambitions to reshape the global order. China dreams of a 21st century Pax Sinica, with Taiwan and the global chip supply chain under its control. Russia seeks an imperial revival, erasing Western influence from Eastern Europe. North Korea wields nuclear weapons to exert constant pressure on South Korea and Japan. But instead of direct confrontation, they opt for a more dangerous strategy: proxy wars using nations like Cambodia, Iran, and Syria as tools to sow chaos, divide U.S. response capabilities, and quietly build a global counterweight. Cambodia's artillery barrage on Thailand, powered by Chinese-supplied 155mm guns, was not just a provocation, but an opening move, signaling a series of destabilizing campaigns in Southeast Asia. Analysts suggest this could be the first step in a broader plan to weaken U.S. allies in the region and open a new front in the Indo-Pacific. Look broader still. Why would Cambodia, a nation once reliant on international aid and Western cooperation, suddenly turn its back and stake its security on China? The answer lies in a decade of strategic shifts. Since 2015, Cambodia has deepened ties with Beijing, receiving billions in investments for infrastructure, ports, and military projects. The Ream port, once a minor commercial hub, is now a strategic naval base hosting Chinese warships. Chinese-supplied radar systems, despite being marketed as cutting-edge, failed to detect Thailand's F-16s. Belarusian electronic warfare vehicles, delivered under the guise of agricultural equipment, couldn't jam U.S. smart bomb signals. All this reveals a stark truth. The technology Cambodia trusted was no match for the advanced systems of the U.S. and its allies. But the bigger concern is the interconnectedness of these global hotspots. In the Middle East, Iran-backed groups, supported by Russia and North Korea, are intensifying attacks on Israel and U.S. bases. In Eastern Europe, Russia combines artillery, drones, and cyber attacks to weaken Ukraine. In Northeast Asia, China relentlessly pressures Taiwan with near-daily air incursions and massive military drills. In Central Asia, Iran's drones threaten U.S. strategic bases. And in Southeast Asia, Cambodia, backed by China, emerges as a new flashpoint, challenging regional stability. What do you think? Is this a coincidence or a meticulously calculated plan to pull the U.S. into a reactive stance? Don't rush to judge. Consider the details. North Korean missile components appear in both the Middle East and Eastern Europe. Chinese control software powers drones attacking Ukraine and Israel. Iranian and Russian advisors surface in Syria, Yemen, and even Cambodia. All point to a complex network where nations like China, Russia, and North Korea coordinate to create a chain of crises, distracting and stretching U.S. power. According to a leaked document from China's PLA Strategic Research Institute, a plan dubbed 3 Layers of Containment was proposed in 2018. Layer 1. Destabilize U.S. satellite regions through proxy conflicts, like Cambodia's attack on Thailand. Layer 2. Trigger simultaneous financial, energy, and information crises to weaken U.S. war logistics. Layer 3. Create direct flashpoints in historically contested areas like the South China Sea or Taiwan Strait. This strategy is not new. It's a modernized version of Russia's asymmetric warfare doctrine, pioneered after the 2008 Georgia War and refined by China, North Korea, and Iran. Look at the three main flashpoints today. Ukraine, where NATO clashes with Russia. Taiwan, the fault line between the U.S. and China. And the Middle East, where U.S. interests are besieged by Iran, Russia, and North Korea. A recent U.S. Strategic Command report, released in late June 2025, coined a new term: global fragmented warfare. This isn't an old-style world war with massive armies and clear fronts. Instead, it's a synchronized, decentralized conflict where no single nation can challenge the U.S. directly, but many can drag it into secondary fronts, sapping its strength. What do you think? Is this a coincidence or a carefully orchestrated plan to force the U.S. into a defensive posture? Thailand strikes back. F-16s obliterate Cambodian bases. The U.S. speaks out, and the world begins to re-examine the strategic map. This isn't just about artillery or airstrikes, not just a bilateral conflict. From Ukraine to Israel, from Taiwan to Thailand, these are pieces of a larger puzzle, a new kind of global war. No formal declarations, no massive armies marching, but hotspots ignited simultaneously. Cyber warfare, space warfare, energy warfare, and information warfare. Together, they form a dangerous strategy. The big question: is this the dawn of a new world order or a trap set to divide the world and exhaust the U.S. in a war of attrition? Look again. If you mark the regions in conflict, you'll see they envelop the U.S.'s entire strategic arc worldwide. From Europe to the Middle East, from Northeast Asia to Southeast Asia, no region is safe. Is this by chance, or was it planned long ago? Leave your thoughts in the comments and share this video to help more people understand the global picture taking shape. Thank you for watching this in-depth analysis from B21 Raider. If you're passionate about geopolitics, military power, and the real stories behind global battlefields, this is the place for you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our next analyses, where we'll continue unraveling the mysteries of the modern world.